Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhukle Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Sutta Siddhi Nishta Bhem Tasya Vakyan Padine. Good morning and Hare Krishna to everyone. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's Sydney, or not Sydney, Australia. Welcome to all our online Mayapur TV viewers and ISKCON Sydney YouTube and also Facebook. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, which is titled The Marriage of Kardama Muni and Devahuti. And this is a very interesting chapter. It's a very interesting pastime of one of a very pure devotee of Lord Krishna, and we learn different things every day. So this morning we are reading from chapter text 36, which is tells us a little bit about the Manus, mankind, the source of mankind, or the start of mankind. And hopefully we can discover a few things. And it's also a little bit about our mode of natures and where we go. Depending on the mode of nature we absorb or we are under the influence of. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Nurottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta gatitraya. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta gatitraya. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta gatitraya. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta gatitraya. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta gatitraya. Sa evam svantaram ninye. Yuganameka saptatim. Vasudeva prasangena. Paribhuta Gatitraya. Okay. Sa, he, Swayambhuva Manu, Evam, thus, Swantaram, his own period, Ninye, past, Yuganam, of the cycles of 4 ages, Eka Saptatim, 71, Vasudeva, with Vasudev, Prasangena, by topics connected, Paribhuta, transcended, Gati Trayaha, the 3 destinations. Okay, so this is about Swayambhuva Manu and his life. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So translation, he passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of the 4 ages, that is 71 times 4,320,000,000 years, always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus he transcended the 3 destinations. So we can repeat, he passed his time, which lasted 71 cycles of the 4 ages, 71 by 4,320,000,000 years. Yes. Always thinking of Vasudeva and always engaged in matters regarding Vasudeva. Thus he transcended the 3 destinations. Okay, so the purport. The 3 destinations are meant for persons who are under the control of the 3 material nature. So there you go. That's the very first sentence. If you happen to be under any of the 3 material natures, modes, that's where you're going to go. You are in the control of the material nature, the modes of nature. These destinations are sometimes described as the awakened, dreaming, and unconscious stages. In Bhagavad Gita, the 3 destinations are described as the destinations of persons in the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. They all have their own destination. So you decide which mode you want to be in. It is stated in the Gita that those who are in the mode of goodness are promoted to better living conditions in higher planets. So I'll read a little bit about what those higher planets are. And those who are in the mode of passion remain within the material world on earth or are on heavenly planets. I'll just stop just for a second there. Those who are in the mode of passion remain within the material world and on earth. So what mode are we in, all of us? Passion. We are on earth. That's really good news, right? No, it's not good news. But not all is lost, because the next sentence tells us, but those who are in the mode of ignorance are degraded to an animal life on the planets where life is lower than human. So we haven't really gone that far yet. But we are not in a great condition either. So good news for you this morning. That good news is we are all in the mode of passion. That's why we are here. So, but one who is Krishna conscious, better news, but one who is in Krishna conscious is above these 3 modes of material nature. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who engages in devotional service to the Lord automatically becomes transcendental to the 3 destinations of material nature. Lucky us, hopefully. And it is situated in the Brahmabhuta or self-realized stage. Although Swayambhuva Manu, the ruler of this material world, appeared to be absorbed in material happiness, because he was the emperor of the entire creation, well, like universe, material world, he was the emperor. He was neither in the mode of goodness nor in the mode of passion or ignorance, none of the 3, but in transcendental stage. So there's a 4th stage, there's a 4th mode. So you've got goodness, passion, ignorance, and then the transcendental. So try the third last one, which by grace of Srila Prabhupada, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we have the opportunity for that. So therefore, one who fully engages in devotional service is always liberated. Bilva Mangal Thakur, a great devotee of the Lord, stated, "If I have unflinching devotion to the lotus feet of Krishna, then Mother Liberation is always engaged in my service. The complete perfection of material enjoyment, religion, and economic development is at my command." Wow. People are after dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Generally, they perform religious activities to achieve some material gain. And they engage in material activity for sense gratification. After being frustrated in material sense gratification, one wants to be liberated and become one with the absolute truth. These four principles form the transcendental path for the less intelligent. Those who are actually intelligent engage in Krishna consciousness, not caring for these four principles of the transcendental method. They at once elevate themselves to transcendental platform, which is above liberation. There's something above liberation. Liberation is not a very great achievement for a devotee. To say nothing of the results of ritualistic performances in religion, economic development, or in the materialistic life of sense gratification. Devotees do not care for these. What does a devotee want? They are situated on the transcendental platform of the Brahma Bhuta stage of self-realization. So devotees generally just want to serve Krishna. That's it. Whether it's in hell, it's in prison, it's in material life, any life, they just want to serve Krishna. That's what the devotee wants. They don't want anything else. Are we in that stage yet? I'm not sure. Anyway, so, Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutile Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's start. I'm a bit divided. Should I tell you about Manu or should I tell you about the three material modes of nature? So actually, Manu is, we call them a mankind, right? The word man is derived from Manu. Manu is, did you know that he is an empowered incarnation of Lord Krishna? Even though they say Manu is the son of Lord Brahma, but Manu is the incarnation, empowered incarnation of Lord Krishna. So Brahma, he has one day, and in one day there are how many Manus? 14, yes. And okay, so I don't have to tell you much about Manus, you know. Which Manu are we in? How many of the 14, which Manus? We are in the 7th one, right? Yes? No? Yes. And our Manu is called Vaivashvata, who is the son of the sun god. And every Manu lives 71 cycles of the 4 yugas, which lasts a certain period of Lord Brahma's life. It's not even a day. 14 of those is one day of Brahma. So 71 cycles of the yugas is a long time. And that is, this particular Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, is going to live that long. And in every moment of that period, he is absorbed in Lord Vasudeva. I don't know if we would be able to last that long. That's a long time. Just engaged in devotional service to Lord Krishna. But he is actually an empowered incarnation of Lord Krishna too. So how many cycles have passed for Manu? Our Manu is 28. So we are in the 28th cycle. The cycle is the Satyug, Treta, Dwapar, and Kalyug. So you multiply all those 4 yugas by 28. We are on the 28th one. That is sort of some general knowledge. The important thing to remember is that all the Manus, they actually establish the rituals for us. Like, for example, our Manu, Vaivashvata Manu, he was instructed in devotional service in all the Vedic scriptures by his father, who is the sun god. The sun god was instructed by Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It was passed on. And somewhere along the lines, it was broken down. And Krishna himself had to come and instruct that to Arjun in the Kurukshetra battle. So that's like the overall picture. Because sometimes our dharma or principles, it is eroded. And so Krishna has to come and re-establish. So in the Bhagavad Gita, I think in chapter 4 somewhere, he tells Arjun, I'm not sure about the chapter 4, so I'll have to get that right, but he tells Arjun that I've actually told this to the sun god, what I'm preaching to you in the Bhagavad Gita, everything that he said. But he tells Arjun again so that we get that same knowledge, because somewhere along the line it was lost. So that's in a nutshell, that's about the Manus. Let me see if I can find something of interest that is a little bit different about Manu that we didn't know before. Let's see if I can find. Okay. Yes. Actually, it's mentioned also. Is another thing is we've got the picture of Lord Vishnu right up there in the corner where he's breathing out lots of universes. The life of one Manu is just like a breathing of Mahavishnu. This is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm reading this one. And there are many Brahmas. So can you just imagine so many Brahmas and then so many Manus in one day? How many Manus have there been? Like, it's countless, it's unlimited. And we are just a tiny spark. So if you really want to know the greatness of Lord Krishna, just think about those things. There's so many Brahmas. And then in one day, there's so many Manus and so many billions of years. We are nothing, absolutely nothing. We last 80 years at the most. We are supposed to last 100 years in Kali Yuga, but we can't. We can't go that far. So our significance is really, really nothing. Very, very less. That's really, in a nutshell, about the Manus. So there was something else that I wanted to tell you, but I've forgotten about it now. Anyway, so in the 3 material natures, the passion, goodness, and ignorance, we have different destinations. So I was reading about that and last night, and I found that if you want to know about the 3 modes of material nature, there is one very nice chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So I brought the Bhagavad Gita here, but I'll read from my phone. It tells you everything, basically every little thing that you need to know about the different modes of nature and how it affects you. And you actually have a choice. Obviously, you chose something to do with passion. That's why you are here today. And I chose something of the modes of nature. That's why I'm here today. But we, all of us, apart from the mode of passion, we chose something else. We chose to follow the intelligence. So we, at some stage, realized that it is smart thing to do is turn Krishna conscious. And that's by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, but it is also your internal desire at some point that you wanted to become a devotee. So the conclusion is that being a devotee and being engaged in devotional service, it raises you to the platform where you can transcend the three modes of material nature. You can transcend it. In fact, go over it. Go past even the mode of goodness. Now, Bhagavad Gita explains us very well. So I'm going to read to you the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. And the three, it's got everything on the three modes of material nature that we need to know. The one thing that I wanted to mention was in the topic of Manu, is that after the death of every Manu, there is a partial dissolution. That's what I wanted to tell you. So, partial dissolution means up till the planet Earth. Up till the planet Earth, everything is covered in water. So, and the water is really so frightening that Brahma also escapes from sight. Lord Brahma is not destroyed. But with every Manu comes the demigods and the Gandharvas and Indras also, they come back. So I'm thinking that they get somewhere, they go somewhere, they're destroyed, but they come back with the next new Manu. There was one incident where the Chakshush Manu, which was the 6th Manu, we are on the 7th one, he got cursed by Agastya Muni. Agastya Muni is a great sage and he got annoyed with Chakshush. So there was a curse, and what happened was he kind of, the dissolution came before time, like halfway. And what happens is at the end of, Manu, it can be like Brahma, this Chakshush Manu was there, and Brahma, by Lord Krishna's arrangement, started feeling sleepy. Probably like some of you, maybe. Because you are up since Mangalarti, right? So you do feel sleepy, and I understand, because I've been sitting on that seat myself many times. It's okay. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone in particular. I can't see who's sleepy and who's not from here. But anyway, Brahma was feeling sleepy. So he slept, and there was partial dissolution. And Chakshush Manu was, part of that. So the reason was Lord Krishna wanted the next Manu, whose name was Satyavrata, who is Vaivashvata Manu. He wanted him to see the dissolution. It was his wish. So that was the story. And what happens is, when Brahma is feeling sleepy and there's dissolution, from his mouth the Vedas come out, the 4 Vedas. And they come out and they needed to be rescued. So Krishna, in the form of Matsya, the fish, would swim in these waters and rescue the Vedas. Not only rescue the Vedas, but he'd rescue all the living entities, the animals and everything. Like that, in the form of fish. So Satyavrata, who was the next Manu coming, our Manu, he was able to see the dissolution. It's very scary. I wouldn't recommend to anyone. I think I took a class where somebody was, I forgot the name now, but they were in the dissolution, and there were huge fish, like bigger than whales and things like that bite you and eat you and attack you at that time in the waters. I was reading the story of Nila Madhav, right? And if I go back to that class, and was it Maitreya Rishi? Yes? Markandeya Rishi, yes. Markandeya Rishi. And he was granted the benediction that he will live long. So he lived long through the dissolution, and he was floating in all the waters of the dissolution. And he saw everything. It was very scary. And then he finally found an island where little baby Krishna was sucking his toe. And, that was Nila Madhav. That was a place, Nilachal Hill. That was not in dissolution. That did not get destroyed. And that place is in Puri. So if you want to go and see the place, that doesn't get annihilated. I'm not sure how it's arranged because it's beyond my thinking, beyond all of our thinking actually. How does everybody goes underwater but Neelachal doesn't, and it's part of earth, one point. I don't know. These are some questions we have to ask our gurus. But apparently Neelachal doesn't get destroyed. So that was part of Manu. Now, the three material modes of nature. So, Krishna explains. Let me see where I can start from. This is the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. And Krishna tells Arjun, O son of Kunti, it should be understood that all species of life are made possible by birth in this material nature, that I am the seed-giving father. So he's our father. All comes from him. We all know that. At some stage we realize Krishna is our father. The material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, Almighty Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So we are like chameleons, those little lizards. They go in different plants and they adopt the color over there. So if he's in a yellow environment, the chameleon, the lizard will become yellow. If he goes in a green environment, he becomes green or red. And if you put him in a multicolored place, he'll become multicolored. So we are like that. So your association will be just like that, like the chameleon. If you are associating with someone who is in a mode of passion or ignorance, you will adopt that. And if you are in the association of someone who is in devotional service, you will attract that. That's what it's saying. So the question is then, are we only in just one mode at a time? Does anybody know the answer to that? Say I'm in mode of goodness. I will not choose passion and ignorance. Say I'm in the mode of goodness. Am I always like that? No. I would have mixed. I can have mode of passion and ignorance mixed in it. So nobody really ever is strictly speaking in one particular mode. You have other modes, elements in there at various degrees. And sometimes these modes of nature fight within you. And passion sometimes wins. Sometimes ignorance wins. Sometimes goodness wins. Most of the time you should obviously let the mode of goodness win, but even beyond that, let the bhakti win, devotional service, let that one win. So the answer is then always serve Krishna. Never leave ISKCON, never leave the temple, never leave the association of devotees. Never. Actually, my spiritual master told me, don't ever leave the vicinities of Radha Gopinath temple. That's a secret I'm divulging today in front of everyone. He told me never leave. And I tried. I went somewhere else. I went to Paramata and I'm going right back. The landlord told me to vacate the premises because he started renovating the whole building and told everybody to get another flat. And so I thought I'll just get another flat in Paramata. I don't have to go to North Sydney. And guess what? I got offered a job just walking distance from here. And I had to accept the job. So I thought, living in Parramatta, working in North Sydney, and coming to the temple in North Sydney doesn't make sense. So I came right back. Been doing that for the last 20 whatever years now. Cannot leave this area. It's funny. And one Mataji, she says, she tries to run away and she always comes back. Don't know why. It's arrangement, but it's also the blessings of the spiritual master. If they want you to be in particular dham, that's where you will be. So hopefully one day I can go somewhere where I wish, maybe. But Gopinath is very merciful. He lets you, he fulfills your wishes, but above that he fulfills the wishes of the spiritual master. That's the point. Bona fide spiritual master. Whatever blessings you have, you'll get. So that's the way things are. So he said, "O sinless one, the mode of goodness." So here we are talking about mode of goodness. Being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees one from sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So if you see somebody who has a lot of knowledge, spirituals, Vedic knowledge, and is happy, that person is in the mode of goodness. That's how you know. So if you need to know who to stick with somebody who's happy and is talking about Krishna and has knowledge about Krishna. We have a few of those in this temple. So you know who to stick with. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. In other words, these are all the hard workers. So those in the mode of passion, they work hard for material gain. So if you know someone who is trying to be a devotee but really is like work, money, or whatever reaction, whatever fruits of their action. Prabhupada described in a purport somewhere. He said that he described the mode of passion. He said, suppose somebody wants to live in a skyscraper, which is like the high-rise buildings. That's like in the mode of passion, because what they do, they have to go through the finance, they have to go through the labor, have to make those buildings, and then live in it. By the time they live in it, they're exhausted because there's so much energy and finance and resources. They really labor hard, and then at the end of the days, they said, "Oh, I'm living in a high-rise building or a skyscraper." That's too much hard work. That's a mode of passion. He gave an example in one of the text purports in the Bhagavad Gita. Next comes the dark side. In what was it? Star Wars. You join the dark force, the dark side of the force. O son of Bharat, this is Krishna is speaking. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. So if somebody likes to sleep a lot and are crazy, then they are in the mode of ignorance. Basically, they live the life of animal life. And they end up being animals. They have animalistic life. So, he says, O son of Bharat, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness. So, what happens to those under goodness? Conditions one to happiness. Passion conditions one to fruitive actions, like we discussed. And ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. So those under influence of liquor, drugs, and other indulgences, they are under the modes of ignorance. This is according to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14. I'm reading from text by text, just the translation. So it's really good to read all the translations sometimes, just to get a fair idea of what this chapter is about. So sometimes the mode of goodness, this is what we were discussing earlier, sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and other times ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. So what does that mean? To be or not to be, to do this or to do that. So you will be faced with situations where you'll say, well, what is the right thing to do? At those times, what do you do? When you are faced with a dilemma, is this the right thing to do? Is that the wrong thing? What to do? What do you do? Ideas? Yes. Sadhu, Sastra, Guru. He has said sadhu, a devotee. Some people consult Shastra, Vedic books. Some people consult Guru. 3 things. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. That's what you do. So if you are in a dilemma fighting over an issue, those 3 things. It's a good way of looking at it. I used to do that. Nobody told me that I was a teenager or something, just growing up. And I just flipped the Bhagavad Gita. Let's see what it says today. Let's see what it says, the thought of the day. And it helps you sometimes. You end up flipping the right page. of the Bhagavad Gita. That's Shastra. Sometimes Bhagavad Gita helps you. Just open the book. It helped me last night. I was looking for some answers to the modes of material nature, chapter 14. So, Bhagavad Gita does help. So, continuing from there, it says the manifestation of modes of goodness can be experienced when all gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. So, knowledge, Vedic knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about what's wrong and right. O Chief of Bharat, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develop. So those people with the uncontrollable desire to achieve something material, we used to be like that. I used to be like that as a student. I used to want to collect degrees and diplomas for no apparent reason. That was under the mode of passion. It really was nonsense. Once you start reading the Bhagavad Gita and like Srimad Bhagavatams and listen to Guru's lectures, that's a different kind of knowledge. That's transcendental knowledge, actually. So when there is an increase in mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Sometimes you have these conversations with people and they will negate you. Have you ever done that? And when they speak to you, they appear to give you things that is not even rational. When you try to preach somebody, right? And the reasons they give you is not even rational, doesn't make sense at all. It's madness. Trying to preach for those people is really hard, they're really difficult. In those cases, just tell them, please chant Hare Krishna, try to convince them. But if you give them philosophies, they'll say, oh, it was like this, it was not like that. It doesn't make sense. It's actually good not to talk to people like that who are in the ignorance, because unless there are chances that they can improve. So here is the text 14, which is important. What was described, where we go, because I was going to tell you a little bit about where we go. Okay, we don't have much time. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets of great sages. So the higher planets are those planets where great sages live. Coming down to text 18, I'll just read up till text 18, hopefully we have time for that. Text 18 of Bhagavad Gita chapter 14, it tells you in detail what those planets are. So text 15 says, when one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities, which is us. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in animal kingdom. So at some stage, our karma was such that we are born, because in this planet, everybody is just working like crazy and trying to achieve something. They are not really all in transcendental mood. But by grace of Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is here, Srila Prabhupada, so we are protected. There's a segment there that's protected. And the Srimad Bhagavatam protects us too, because when Srila Vyasadeva was writing this, the Srimad Bhagavatam, compiling it, he was very upset about it after he wrote it. And he spoke to Narad Muni. I think you remember the story, right? He was depressed. And he didn't know why. He consulted Narad Muni, sadhu. And Narad Muni told him, you haven't written about devotional service and love for Krishna. You have to write about that people will read that. And then they will be delivered. Times like Kali Yuga. So we are protected. The mode of goodness, real knowledge develops from the mode of goodness develops real knowledge. From the mode of passion, greed develops. Greed. And from the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion develops. And here's text 18, the one that I was waiting for. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to hellish world. So I will click on that text and I'll tell you what those planets are, if you aspire to go there. By the way, we had said in the beginning of the class, devotees, they don't want to aspire to any of those. They just want to serve Krishna and want to go straight to Goloka Vrindavan. So, it says in this verse, results of actions in the three modes of nature are more explicitly set forth. Now, the highest planet, mode of goodness. If you are in the mode of goodness, where do you go? You go to a place called Satyaloka. Another name for the planet Satyaloka is Brahmaloka. So Brahma has living entities there. You could join him there. Everyone over there is in the mode of goodness. There's Brahmaloka, and there's supposed to be other. Oh, it doesn't say. But there's Brahmaloka, there's Tapaloka, there's Mahaloka. It is all above the heavenly planets. All above the heavenly planets. So Indra and the demigods, they are mixed. They're not in the mode of goodness all the time. Did you know that? They're mixed. They're not always in the mode of goodness. So we should never aspire for that. So we could go there to Brahmaloka, but then, by the way, if you went all the way to the Brahmaloka, does it mean that one day you will go higher than that, or can you come down to the lower planets? You can come down, correct. Depends on your desires. If you have material desires, you'll come right back down. Yeah. And we are in a mode of passion right now, or we were. Hopefully we are in transcendental, practicing some kind of transcendental nature. Maybe we have got a little bit. But there's a chance that we could also fall to the animal kingdom. So we are in a very dangerous situation. It depends on what we do, our actions, our desires. If those of us who are chanting Hare Krishna, but behind closed doors are doing, or away from the temple, are doing things that are in a different mode, or associating with people in a different mode of nature, then the chances are you will not make it. Even though you have been chanting Hare Krishna, you will be given a chance. But you'll have to live through that karma. Let's just say that, somebody chants Hare Krishna but eats like a pig. I'm not saying anybody does that. There are chances that you could end up come back as a pig. Prabhupada was saying in his one of his morning walks, he said, too much eating can lead to diabetes, and too less eating can lead to tuberculosis. But eating the right amount can keep you healthy. So we can't overeat and we can't undereat. That's that's just one example. So we've got to, it's a very, very tricky situation. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, we have to be very careful not to associate with those people who are doing dangerous things. Preach, but don't associate with them. You can hand them a book, or hand them some japa beads, or hand them some kirtan USBs. Book distribution, you can do all those things, but don't associate with such people. So, what does the mode of passion do? Mode of passion, here we go. He will simply remain on this earth. Those under mode of passion, they will simply remain on this earth as a king or as a rich man. Because they are mixtures. They can also go down. People on this earth in the mode of passion or ignorance cannot forcibly approach higher planets by machine. So we can't go to higher planets by machine. In the mode of passion. There is also a chance that you could become mad in the next life. Very dangerous. The lowest quality, mode of ignorance, is described here as abominable. The result of developing ignorance is very, very risky. It is the lowest quality of material nature. Beneath the human level, there are 8 million species, it's 8.4, right? Of life. So we could become a bird, a beast, reptile, trees. So if you see an animal, if you see a dog, you think, okay, well, oh, that reminds me, I'll tell you a very good story. If you see a dog, you'll immediately think that this dog was in the mode of ignorance before, or is still in the mode of ignorance. They were in Fiji. The story is in Fiji. There's lots of dogs. So many dogs. Many dogs. And the reason there are many dogs is because the crime rate is high and the people can't afford security. So they breed dogs and they are, it's like watchdogs. And even Gurudev went and there was one, he was taking a morning walk and the dog tried to bite him, attacked him. So he came next day and gave the dog rotis so that maybe the dog won't bite. But I saw these dogs, there were so many dogs where I was living. I was renting for a little while. We have a house there, but for a little while I was renting in a place. And there were lots of dogs and they were covered in fleas. And Gurudev had said that these dogs were doing bad stuff in their previous life and they all, were sent to Fiji. And I was thinking, when I really saw these dogs, and I thought they must have done something bad. It was like a pack of dogs, maybe a dozen, and wild dogs, and they were sitting in the park. And one day I was walking there and I saw bones. There's a big park, like a soccer ground, and it was full of bones. Every step I took, I would step on some bones. It was a horrible condition, horrible. Nobody had cleaned up the park. There was apparently a barbecue or celebration or something in that park, and they had eaten these meat and bones was just strewn everywhere. Every step you took, you would take a step on a bone, and the dogs were there. That's a horrible condition. Then at that night, I had a dream about these dogs, because I'd seen the eyes of these dogs, and the same eyes I saw on a person, a female person. And she had died. Then she had died. What she was doing was things that a female dog does. And then she died. And she was wrapped in this shroud. You know how they wrap her up? It was in a lilac bedsheet. And taken to the corona. And next thing, I see her come back as a dog. It's the same eyes. Next morning, I went outside and I saw the dog, the female dog. She was surrounded by male dogs, same eyes. It was her. She came back as a female dog. These are, I do get realization dreams, but that's what happened to her. She was a white Western in a previous life. And because of the activities that she did. So those women who go around having different partners, and it doesn't just stick with the women, also the men. You can end up as a dog in Fiji. It's funny, but I saw those same pair of eyes, 2 of them. The man that she was with in the previous life was also joining her as a dog in this life, when they were in Fiji, covered in fleas. So that's the mode of ignorance, passion. They were in the mode of ignorance. So I actually got to see that quite graphically. Sometimes it's good to see these dreams because then you really understand the Bhagavad Gita, what it's saying. It was incredible. And she looked, as a dog, she looked the same. The features, that is how she looked as a previous birth as well. Very long, thin arms and long face and everything. So when she came back, the dog, the features were long legs, white fur, and the same eyes. That was a revelation. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Chant and be happy. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai.